Hello and welcome to a new video on IGCSE Mathematics. In this video, we shall be discussing interest rates. We shall begin with simple interest. Jan invests $800 at a rate of 3% per year, simple interest. Calculate the value of her investment at the end of 4 years. So the formula for simple interest is P or F future equals present times 1 plus rate times number of years times excuse me. So F equals P times 1 plus Rn. Now, the rate is basically the interest rate that we are given here. This is 3%. So 3 over 100. The number of years is 4. So we have here 4 years. And we have 1 plus this answer. And the present value is what she invested in the first place, which is 800. And we want to get the future value. So the future value is 800 times this amount here, which is 0.12, is added to 1, so 1.12. So 800 times 1.12. This gives us 896, and this is the future value, or the value of her investment at the end. So 896 here is the correct answer. Scott invests $500 for 7 years at a rate of 1.5% per year, simple interest. Calculate the value of his investment at the end. So again, F equals P times 1 plus Rn. Excuse me. So N is 7. R is 1.5%, so 1.5 over 100. We have 1 plus this amount. And the present value is 500, and we want to find the future value. So 1.5 divided by 100, and then multiplied by 7, gives us 0.105. We add that to 1, so we get 500 times 1.105, and 500 times 1.105 equals 552.5. So the final answer is 552.5. Paula invests $600 at a rate of R% per year, simple interest. At the end of 10 years, the total interest earned is $90. So the interest is the difference between the final amount and the initial amount. So F minus P equals I. The interest is future minus present. And our formula is F equals P times 1 plus Rn. Now we are given that F minus P equals 90. And we are given that P is 600. So P itself equals 600. So therefore, F is equal to 600 plus 90, which is 690. Now that we have F and P, we are required to find R. So F here is 690. P is 600. R is just R, and N is 10. Excuse me. So 690 divided by 600 equals 1 plus 10R. So the idea is that I divided both sides by 600. And this 600 here will cancel this 600. So we get 690 over 600 equals 1 plus Rn, or 1 plus 10R. So we can find R by solving this equation. So 690 divided by 600, that gives us 1.15. So 1.15 equals 1 plus 10R. We can subtract 1, so 0.15 equals 10R. So R equals 0.15 over 10, because we can divide both sides by 10, and these will cancel out. So R is 0.15 over 10, which is 0.015. We want it as a percentage, so we can multiply by 100 here. So it becomes 1.5%. 1.5% is correct. Boris invests 550 at a rate of 2%. Calculate the amount Boris has after 10 years. So again, this is simple interest. So F equals P times 1 plus Rn. F is what we want. This is equal to P, which is 550, multiplied by 1 plus R is 2 over 100, multiplied by N, which is 10 years. So 2 over 100 times 10. This is all equal to 0.2. So we have 550 times 1 plus 0.2, which is 1.2. 1 plus 0.2. So we have 550 times 1.2, and this is equal to $660. So 660 is the final answer. Sarah invests $500 for 15 years at a rate of 2%. Calculate the total interest. So you have to be very careful about whether they want the interest or the final amount, because the interest is F minus P. So first we need to get F, and then we need to subtract P. So F equals P times 1 plus Rn. P is 500 times 1 plus R, which is 2 over 100, 2%, times N, which is 15, so 2 over 100 times 15. And all of this is equal to F. So F equals 500 times 1 plus 2 times 15 over 100. Of course, 2 times 15 is 30 divided by 100. This is 0.3. 1 plus 0.3 is 1.3. So we have to multiply 500 times 1.3. And this is equal to 650. This is not the final answer because we want I, which is F minus P, which is 650 minus 500, and I equals $150. 150 is the correct final answer here. Dean invests $500 for 10 years at a rate of 1.7% simple interest. Calculate the total interest earned during the 10 years. So again, we first get the future value, F equals P times 1 plus Rn. And P is the present value, which is 500 times 1 plus R, which is 1.7 over 100. Excuse me. 1.7 over 100 multiplied by the number of years, which is 10. So if we evaluate this fraction, 1.7 over 100 times 10, this gives us 0.17. So 500 times 1 plus 0.17 is just 1.17. So F is equal 500 times 1.17, which is 585. And the interest is F minus P, which is 585 minus 500, which is 85. So the final answer here is $85. So now we move on to problems involving simple and compound interest at the same time. Marcel invests $2,500 for 3 years at a rate of 1.6% per year simple interest. Jack invests $2,000 for 3 years at a rate of X% per year compound interest. At the end of the 3 years, Marcel and Jack receive the same amount of interest. Calculate the value of X. So interest, whether simple or compound, is future minus present. For simple interest, we have F equals P times 1 plus Rn. For compound interest, we have F equals P times 1 plus R power N. I just call them Fs and Fc to distinguish between simple and compound. So in both cases, when we get F, we can subtract P to get I. I is F minus P. The interest is future minus present. So for the first one, for the simple interest, we know that F equals present, which is 2,500, multiplied by 1 plus the rate, which is 1.6 over 100, times the number of years, which is 3. And we can calculate this on the calculator and figure it out. So 1.6 times 3 gives us 4.8 divided by 100. We get 0.048. We add that to 1. And then we multiply by 2,500. So this gives us 2,620. This is the future value of the simple interest. For the compound interest, we have 2,000 multiplied by 1 plus x over 100, which we don't know, all to the power of 3. And we don't know what the future value is, but we can find a way to find the future value itself. How do we do that? By using the idea that they both get the same interest. So for the simple interest, I equals f of simple interest minus the present value of simple interest. Our future value was 2,620 minus the present value in simple interest case, which was 2,500. So we get $120. We are told that in the compound interest case, it is the same as the simple interest case. They both receive the same amount of interest. This is what we're told. So this tells us that the compound interest is also $120. So we can get the future value because 120 equals Fs minus PS. So, excuse me, FC minus PC now. So future value in the compound case minus the present value. So 120 equals FC, which we don't know, minus the present value of the compound, which is 2,000. This is given in the question. In the case of the compound interest, it's 2,000. The present is 2,000. So we can get FC as 120 plus 2,000, which is equal to 2,120. So this equation here is equal to 2,120, and we want to find the value of x. So we proceed. We divide both sides by 2,000. These will cancel out. And we can just divide 2,120 by 2,000. And we get 1.06. So 1 plus x over 100 power 3 equals 1.06. Now we can get the cubic root on both sides to remove the power. So cubic root of 1.06, I mean, is 1.0196 whatever. So 1 plus x over 100 equals 1.0196. We can subtract 1 from both sides, or we can take this to the other side as a negative. So x over 100 equals 0.0196. And then we can multiply by 100 on both sides. So we move the decimal 2 spots here, so 1.96. So therefore, the value of x, the final value, is 1.96%. 1.96 is the correct answer here. Paddy and Anna each invest 2,000 for 5 years. Paddy earns simple interest, Anna earns compound interest. At the end of 5 years, Paddy's investment is worth the same as Anna's investment. So in this case, F simple is the same as F compound. So let's calculate Fs and Fc separately. Fs is PS times 1 plus Rn. The subscript just means simple or compound. So here this is P compound plus 1 times 1 plus R power n. So both of them invest the same amount. So this is 2,000 and this is 2,000. Both of them invest for 5 years. So this is 5 and this is 5. The R in the case of simple interest is 1.25%. So this is 1.25 over 100. So we can evaluate this here. So 1.25 divided 100, and then multiplied by 5, and then added to 1, and then multiplied by 2,000. This gives us 2,125 as a final answer. And we know that Fs equals Fc, so we know that this is 2125 as well. We are required to calculate the value of R, so we now have an equation in R, 2000 times 1 plus R power 5 equals 2125. We can divide both sides by 2000. These will cancel out. So 1 plus R power 5 equals 2125 divided 2000, which is 1.0625. To get rid of power 5, I can raise to the reciprocal power, like this, power 1 over 5 on both sides. These will cancel out, so 1 plus R equals 1.0625 to the power of 1 over 5. This gives us 1.0122 on the calculator. And then we subtract 1, we take it to the other side, so R is 0.0122. This is, of course, the decimal value, not the percent, so we multiply by 100. So we get R equals 1.22%. This is the final answer here. Danny invested $200. After 2 years, the value of this investment is 224.72. Calculate the rate of interest per year when the interest is simple or compound. So let's first calculate it for the case of simple. So for the case of simple interest, we have F equals P times 1 plus Rn. F here is 224.72. And this is equal to P, which is 200, times 1 plus R, which we don't know, multiplied by 2. So we divide by 200 on both sides. These will cancel out. So 224.72 divided by 200 is 1.1236. And this is equal to 1 plus 2R. Subtract 1 from both sides. We get 0.1236 equals 2R. Divide by 2 on both sides. You get 0.1236 divided by 2 is 0.0618 equals R. Move the decimal 2 spaces to 6.18%. So the answer to I is simply 6.18%. We're going to repeat the same process in double I, but with the rule of the compound interest, which is F equals P times 1 plus R power n. So 224.72 equals 200 times 1 plus R all power 2. Again, we divide by 200 on both sides. And again, these cancel out. So 1.1236, which we already got, equals 1 plus R power 2. We can just take the reciprocal power again or take the square root. Think of it whichever way you want. I like to think of reciprocal powers, so these will cancel out. So 1.1236 power half is 1.06. So 1.06 equals 1 plus R. So R equals 0.06. Multiply by 100, so 6%. So 6.18 for I and 6 for double I. And this brings us to the end of our video. I hope this has been beneficial. Thank you for watching.